What to say when you don't know what to say? Have you ever been in a situation of not knowing what to say? One of the biggest challenge for me as a parent is to maintain and have conversations with my two young boys. Don't get me wrong, I love chatting with them. The issue here is that the interpretation and the perspective of my boys is often so interesting that I often find myself at a loss of words and not knowing what to say to continue the conversations with them. Fortunately, some time back, I learned this simple technique that allows me to formulate a response whenever I don't know what to say. This technique is so effective that I use it whenever I'm at a loss of words, and it has helped me get through many irrelevant and difficult questions during my training workshops. I call this technique the interesting answer. Let's take a look and see how it works. The interesting answer is a technique that can be used in almost any conversation when you don't know what to say in response to something that someone said. To understand how this technique works, we need to first understand a conversation is just like a game of tennis. One player will serve the ball over while the other player will attempt to hit back. Likewise, in conversation, the conversational ball goes back and forth, and you serve the conversational ball to the court of your listener replies, and the ball is now back in your court. And that's how a conversation goes, just like a game of tennis. So now the ball is in your court and you don't know what to say. This is where the interesting answer comes in. What you want to do is to hit the ball back into the court of your conversational partner, and you can say this by saying, "That's interesting." When you say that's interesting, you are acknowledging the statement that you have just heard. Regardless of what the statement was, you can always acknowledge it by saying that is interesting. Now you have acknowledged that the ball is in your court, it's time to hit it back. There are 4 variations to do so. If you are responding to a statement, you can say, "That's interesting. What makes you say that?" If you want to find out more context or information, you can say, "That's interesting. Tell me more." If you are responding to a question, you can say, "That's interesting. What makes you ask that?" If you are responding to a situation, you can say, "That's interesting. How did it happen?" The interesting answer is an effective technique when you want to continue the conversation but don't know what to say. Give it a try and tell me if it works. And if it doesn't, that's interesting. Tell me more.